guys, and welcome, 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 welcome to another ASMR video. Now, last night I was watching a movie called As Good As It Gets with the amazing Jack Nicholson, and there's a part in it where he goes into a diner and the waitress comes up and he orders his breakfast and he says 3 eggs over easy, 6 strips of bacon, 2 sausages, fries and a short stack. And he does ask for coffee, I think with cream and sweetener, but I haven't got any coffee. I only drink coffee out of the coffee shop. But I have got a very nice iced London tea because the weather here is absolutely scorching hot, guys. It is so hot. Do you like my hair? I've dyed it. I've done my eyebrows too, but I'm looking a little bit like Colin Farrell now. I think they're a bit too black, you know. But anyway, yeah, so I thought I would do that. I have no idea what a stack is, a short stack, so I'm just going to do it without the short stack, whatever it is. But I've got the bacon, and I've got the eggs, 3 eggs over easy, and 2 sausages, and lovely. Delicious. Okay, so let's open the London iced tea and we'll pretend we're on a beach drinking iced tea. Laying on the beach, the waves are gently coming in. And sipping on a nice cold tea. Nice. Oh, that's really nice. Yes, so someone asked me if I would do a Kate Bush ramble. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kate Bush she's a singer. And a British singer. Who came along in 1978. Went to number 1 here in the UK with her first single, which was called Wuthering Heights. Now I remember seeing her. I was like 8 years old at the time. I'm thinking, who is this? Because she was absolutely stunningly beautiful. And had this Voice. The song, although it was a little bit scary, if I'm honest, I absolutely loved it. So, what had happened? Is she wrote hundreds of songs, like demos, and sent them off to various record companies that all turned her down. But then, in 1975, I believe, one of her brothers had a friend that knew David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. So this guy had a little word with David Gilmour, and he said, "Look, I've got this friend who's got a sister, and she's great." And he said, "She's been sending demos, and just getting nowhere." So Dave Gilmour came down and met her, listened to what she could do, and then took her to a recording studio to record some demos of higher quality. One of them was The Man with the Child in His Eyes. So this was played to people at EMI, and they loved it. And she was very young at the time, so EMI gave her some money so she could go off and sort of, develop herself. So she went to dance classes and all these sort of things. And then a few years later, she was sort of finally ready to go out, in the limelight. Yeah, and that's pretty much how it all sort of got started. But my little story is I always loved her. She was always great. And she done or made an album called The Dreaming in 1982, and it's very experimental. So it didn't do incredibly well commercially, but it was amazing. She then disappeared for about 3 years, and then come back with a song called Running Up That Hill, which I'm sure a lot of people will now know because Stranger Things made it, very well known a little while back in one of their episodes. But then the album it was from was called Hounds of Love, which was split into two halves. Side 1 was Hounds of Love. Side 2 was a concept piece called The Ninth Wave. This is about someone possibly been on a cruise or something, or on a boat, whatever, and that's clearly sunk and they're trapped in the water with a life jacket on, but they're falling asleep constantly. So it's their past, present and future coming to keep her awake, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. Anyway, come 1996, 97, she sort of disappeared again. But I was then getting CDs. CDs were now becoming popular, and I absolutely loved them. And I bought The Dreaming and Hands of Love on CD, and I put them on, and I'd just totally forgotten how amazing Kate Bush really was. And I was only about 17, 18, and I was going through this sort of, I don't know, mental sort of state. I was really unhappy, and I sort of developed this crush on her. Anyway, I got this book, and the book mentioned where she grew up, and it wasn't far from me. So one day, me and my brother-in-law at the time went there. There's this big white house. So I walked in, rang the doorbell, dogs barking, and her mum come to the door, and we had a little chat, and she said she was actually recording a new album. The album would have turned out to be The Sensual World, that came out not long after. But yeah, and her mum was really lovely and it was brilliant. Anyway, we ended up, by chance, I mean, I'd sort of got over it and met my ex-wife, but it turned out that when we had to leave our house, the house we ended up moving into was just around the corner from Kate Bush. She ended up sort of leaving a little while after, but in all the time I was there, I never once saw her, which was really annoying. Anyway, I was on Google Plus at the time, and I used to post music. That's how I got my nickname on there, but one day I posted Kate Bush, I can't remember what one, and I said, I live round the corner to her old house. And then I had someone come on and said, no you don't. I said, I do. He went, no you don't. Being the fool I was back then, you know, and biting all the time, you know, with these people. I said, well, I'll prove it to you. I said, then I want an apology. He went, go on then, prove it then. He said, but, you know, you don't really. Stop lying. So I went out the next day with who was my wife at the time, videoed the house, and I put it up on YouTube, tagged him in it, and said, there you go, now I shall wait for my apology. And the bloke disappeared, and I never saw him again, you know. Which is what always usually happens, you know. But anyway, yeah, so my wife still does live there, my ex-wife now. And the house is still there. I think her brother's living in it now, I think. But yeah, she had a barn there, which is still there, that they converted into a recording studio, and that's where she recorded the Hounds of Love album, and The Sensual World, and The Red Shoes. Yeah, and with The Red Shoes, she had Eric Clapton on there and Prince, so they all must have gone there, and I never see them. I didn't see none of them. But yeah, it's really, really annoying, but you know, she's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I don't think she became quite as big in like America, but she does have a like sort of small following there. That love her, you know. But that really gave her a boost. When they did Stranger Things and played Running Up That Hill on it, absolutely fantastic. Again, I don't think she's made an album in a very long time. So I'm hoping that, that she will be back, because she's, everything she does is always really good. She made the most amazing album called Ariel back in, I think it was 1995. No, sorry, 2005. 2005, I think it was. And it must have been about 13 years, and she hadn't been around in all that time. All of a sudden, she's come back with this album, and I thought, oh wow. It was a double album. I remember putting on the first disc, it was like disc 1, and I was a little bit disappointed, and I thought, I liked it, but I didn't love it. But then I put disc 2 on, and disc 2 is pretty much like listening to a Pink Floyd album. It is absolutely fantastic. And I absolutely loved it, and I thought, it was the relief, because I thought I waited all that time and I wasn't that impressed with it, but that second disc certainly made up for it, and then some. Yeah, so, guys, that was delicious. I am dieting at the moment, or trying to, but I just had bacon and eggs and everything that I needed to use. And where I'd watched that last night, I thought, I'm gonna have that. I'll go get Carol, bring her here. Oh, that's nice. Some iced tea. Right, guys, it's absolutely brilliant to see you all. I will be back very, very soon. But in the meantime, have yourself